Not too. Good afternoon. It's noontime. It's lunchtime live time. Hello to our Facebook family, Facebook world, and our Facebook community. I'm Maria. I've turned this on. I'm hoping to get a little feedback with connectivity, audio. If you were on for Lunchtime Live last week, I was in the River Valley. I'm here again, but in a different location. And I apologize. We got through half of the program, no problem. But then connectivity ended up stopping us short. I tried to pick it up, and it only lasted a couple minutes. So here we are in the Tijuana River Valley. I'm Maria. I'm an education specialist and research assistant for the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve. Thanks everyone for the feedback on the audio, and hopefully the video is looking good. And I'm here in the Tijuana River Valley, in the Tijuana River Valley Regional Park. And in just a second, I will show you more exactly where I am, where the parking lot is, in what we call the bird and butterfly garden. So I'm not within the reserve, or I'm not within the research reserve boundary quite yet. Anyway, but we're here, and this is our special edition of Lunchtime Live, what we're calling the TRAM series, Tijuana River Action Month series. So we are broadcasting from locations around the Tijuana River Valley in celebration of this month-long, typically in-person event or series of events that bring awareness about the issues in the Tijuana River Valley in order to protect and preserve and restore this very special place. So as Lunchtime Live, we've been highlighting some of the species that are flourishing have made themselves very present within the River Valley. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us today. So if you have any questions related to today's topic, which is let's talk about tamarisk, you can ask them in the chat. I will do my best to answer them. If you have photos or comments related to the subject, please post them as well. And anything I can't get to, I will always come back and comment later. So I hope everyone's having a great day so far. It is warm, but I am under the shade of a tamarisk tree, also known as salt cedar. But first, let me give you I'm gonna flip the camera around so I can show you exactly where we are. If you've been to the Tijuana River Valley Regional Park, and this is the little parking lot everywhere, or over there. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kevin. And this is the parking lot for the bird and butterfly garden. Ciao, John. Hi. And you can see there's a picnic table. And so we are kind of not necessarily off trail, but in a open space area that is public. And I'm standing in a grove of our topic for today, tamarisk, as I pan around. So if you've been here before, feel free to share. If you haven't been here before, this is also known as the bird and butterfly garden. There are a lot of species that have been planted in order to provide habitat for wildlife in an area that is fairly has had a lot of impact, human impact and degradation. I see a pretty big question there that I don't think I'm going to be able to answer in this broadcast, but I will get back to it, Kevin. Thank you. So I'm standing under the shade of this very large tamarisk or salt cedar tree. And tamarisk or salt cedar, as we call our common name, is in a family of the Tamariskaceae family, where there are about 50 to 60 species of salt cedar or tamarisk. Quite extensive. And there is a lot of work that's been done to study which exact species are here in the river valley. There seem to be a couple of species, Ramosissima and chinensis. However, there also is some evidence of hybridization. So we're just going to call it tamarisk for short, rather than Tamarisk Ramosissima and Tamarisk chinensis. But however, I do have, I am going to be able to show you a little bit of both. But just generally, overall, these are fairly large shrubs or trees. Perennial, some deciduous, some evergreen. And a lot of times people look at these and they do think, oh, these some sort of pine tree. So no, not in the same family. But these are very large, and some of the very largest species go up to about 60 feet tall. These ones here, I'm really bad at judging, are probably at least 40 feet tall. But some of the ones that are more like large shrubs, 10, 20 feet tall and very wide. And we are in the river valley, so this is a riparian zone. The tamarisk, the salt cedar family, gets its name from the Tamarisk River in Spain. So these are plants that originated in Eurasia and parts of Africa in some of those riparian zones, or some of those drier areas, similar climate to Southern California. So this is not a species that originated here. It's introduced. It's been brought here. And so we're going to take a look at some of the specifics, the details of this. And if you're hearing, I don't know if you can hear, there is a sprinkler nearby. So there is some restoration that the county park is doing here. So I'm going to pull the phone off of the tripod as we look at this particular species here. So I'm, like I said, I'm standing in a grove of this species that is of tamarisk, where we see that the leaves are kind of almost needle-like, very long, very feathery, that pale green color. And I will put on the, I will put on the macro here so we can see it. They're kind of, let's see if I can get this. See that scale-like texture of the leaf. Yeah, I didn't know that it got its name from the Tamarisk River in Spain either. So in doing my homework for these Lunchtime Lives, I'm learning a bit about our plants. Now, this is not a species we see around the visitor center, since that's primarily salt marsh and coastal sage scrub. But here in the river valley, where there's fresh water, where the roots from these large trees tap into that groundwater and establish themselves. Now, across the road from here, I did find the other tamarisk that's in the salt cedar that's in the river valley. That's a little more shrub-like, and I did break off a branch and I brought it over to compare the difference. And because these are considered not very ecologically beneficial, in fact, they're the opposite, it's okay to pick it and share this with you. So you can see these are a little more short. These leaves are shorter, similar color, also scale-like. Maybe it reminds me more of like a juniper. And they're on these woody stem, these woody branches, much like this one here. You see those woody branches as well on the long-leafed species. Now going back to this one here, this one happens to be flowering. So they do flower. They produce these how would I describe it? They're called racemes. So the flowers sit on these 1 to 2 inch at most stems in a way. They're called racemes, where tiny pink or white flowers bloom from April to November. So this plant produces these flowers and then seeds and is wind pollinated. So you can see there quite a lot of tiny flowers producing quite a lot of seeds in the tamarisk or salt cedar. So this species here is a little more shrub-like. Doesn't get quite as big, but it is considered ecologically detrimental to plants that originated here that support wildlife. These plants do not support what we call native wildlife that has evolved here, originated and evolved here. So that is the other species. If you see this one, again, feathery, also kind of scale-like leaves, gray-green. It is also tamarisk, comparing it to that of this other individual. It's much taller. Now, and then as we can also see here, some of those dried flowers. There. So they do turn brown and they go to seed. I'm gonna put that individual down. And we'll take a look at the bark. We'll get a little closer, as we can see that this tree produces that very rough, kind of woody bark. And a lot of leaf litter. A lot of leaf litter. And what is leaf litter? Leaf litter can be a fire hazard. It can be a fire hazard. So this is a plant that gets very large, displacing what might normally be here, which would be like willows and cottonwoods within a river riparian area. This is a plant that has spread quickly throughout the southwestern United States, as well as in the desert regions of California. So it's found in the deserts, it's found in the riparian areas, and the name salt cedar comes from the idea or the fact that this plant is actually able to tolerate salt. So it tolerates salt, even though it's found here in this riparian area where a lot of species wouldn't tolerate salt. But salt cedar has been found in salt marshes where it tolerates salt, or if it taps into the deep groundwater, where near coastal areas where salt is, and then that salt is taken up through the plant and excreted through those leaves, and then it produces salt deposits which kill other species. And if you notice the ground around here, you can see that it's very barren. Underneath these large salt cedar or tamarisk trees. And really what is growing under here is another non-native, another plant that's from South Africa that is, we call ice plant. Crystalline ice plant, but it's dead. It has taken all the fresh water, used it for itself, and then died, not allowing anything else to grow. So, yes, so yeah, Canza Borrego, there's tamarisk, they even have a tamarisk grove there. They are also, yes, drought tolerant as well. So drought tolerant, and they're also been used and cultivated for windbreaks, okay, and as ornamentals because they grow really easily. So if you need something to, provide shade, to grow quickly, this was a species that was something that was used. And also, you may see these large tamarisk groves that provided windbreaks in those areas, like the deserts, where winds get very strong. But it has spread throughout, again, the Southwest, through wind and water, seeds carried through water, and then just, the horticulture industry. So there you go. There's our tamarisk, our salt cedar, one of the big species, prominent species in the Tijuana River Valley, but also, all over. That is typically not desirable, not supporting a lot of wildlife, promoting promoting the prevention of other species to grow around it, which minimizes the diversity in this area. So you can see it's a lot of work, probably a lot of work to get these species out of here once they've been established. All right, so impact, and so there's a lot of so that's another good point. They not only impact the species around them, but also can impact the hydrology of an area as they establish themselves in waterways. So they can impact that hydrology. Why are there so I'm just reading questions. I've been seeing some nice and hi there all the way from New York. Thank you for joining us. Why are there so many at Bird and Butterfly that hasn't been there very long? The Bird and Butterfly Garden? The Bird and Butterfly Garden, I'm not sure I completely understand your question. This area hasn't been the Bird and Butterfly Garden, to my knowledge, for that long. And that's the kind of a restoration effort from this impacted area of the river valley. So, which I believe is still ongoing, and hence the sprinklers that the county is trying to establish some ecologically beneficial native, or what we call native species. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but over there. So, and I don't know if you can see there on the other side of that fencing, that is some restoration of ecologically beneficial areas from this area. Why are so many tamarins at the Bird and Butterfly Garden? Yeah, they've established here, and the Bird and Butterfly is new, but the trees are old. Yes. Yes, and planted in weird ways or in weird rows. Yeah, again, remember that windbreak. So if you're planting, you're trying to block wind, you can plant them. So again, I'll sort of move this around. You can see those are all tamarisk along the road into the bird and butterfly garden there. So for those of you who are more familiar with the history of the river valley, or even out in the desert, you can see those tamarisk wind breaks that have been established. Okay. All right. So there we go. I hope everyone is staying cool. Let's see, let me get you guys back on the tripod here so I can sign off. Yeah, so farmers, might have planted them. Very good. Yeah, so has planted them to provide shade or a windbreak for this area before the area was protected and made public land. So again, I hope you guys are staying cool. I'm loving the shade of the tamarisk right now, but I'm wishing it was maybe more of a large cottonwood tree or a willow tree would be nice. But it's important to understand the diversity of, beneficial and non-beneficial plants in the river valley as we create awareness and try to bring awareness to about this area to the public, as you understand when you are out here visiting right now in a safe manner. When we return to normal operations, where we can visit these and do these kind of walks in person and see them up close. So until then, stay safe out there, stay cool this week, and tune in on Thursday evening for the next event of TRAM, Tijuana River Action Month, where we're looking at a three-prong approach to the river valley and restoring river valley. So that's Thursday evening at 7 p.m. On our Facebook page, both this Tijuana Estuary page and the Tijuana River Action Network Facebook page for a lovely webinar. And then also, if you look at our Facebook page and the events on both our page and the Tijuana River Action Network page, you will see other TRAM events happening, not just here in the U.S., but quite a few events happening on the Mexico side, and these are all virtual. So this year, everyone can attend. So it's been a pleasure broadcasting to you from the Tijuana River Valley. Very different for me, and I'm glad the connectivity stayed with us this time. And we will see you next week for our last Lunchtime Live in the TRAM series, where we'll do our best to try it from the beach, see how that goes. So until then, have a wonderful week. Again, stay safe. Feel free to shoot me some questions or answer or share some images. I'd love to see photos. I think we've had one person do that. Share photos related to the topic in the comments, and of course we'll get back to you later. So if you're tuning in later, please feel free to answer any of those questions. So I think that's it for now, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next week.